My name's Daniel McGuire, and I'm from Ireland. You know that plucky little country whose two major exports to the rest of the world are Irish pubs and Irish people? Yeah, that's the one. In 2015, I fell in love and took what would be the first of many flights to and from Canada. For the last 4 years, I've been living more on again than off again on Cape Breton Island in Nova Scotia. Down North is a podcast about island life in Atlantic Canada and how to survive it. It's 2012 and I'm about to graduate college. I'm at a house party and I grab a beer from the fridge. I turn around to find myself sucked into a conversation with a group of 20-somethings, all about how wonderful the internet is. Someone tells me about a YouTube video that's going to take down an African warlord, and someone else tells me about how the internet is finally bringing democracy to the Middle East. Fast forward to now, and it's a giant dumpster fire. Looking back on that conversation now, it's really hard not to laugh. We've got companies collecting and selling our data, and fake news so prevalent it makes George Orwell look like Nostradamus. Surprisingly now, amidst the global pandemic, I've been reminded about why it is I love the internet. In a time of social distancing and isolation, online communities are bringing us closer together.
The name of the Facebook group is the Ultimate Online Nova Scotia Kitchen Party. There's literally people out there forming friendships in this group with people who are complete strangers to them.
Hi everyone, this is a new song that I'm learning, so bear with me.
Well, the water's running deep, and it helps me get to sleep from now on.
Like, lean on each other through that, feel something, you know?
Some positivity.
Like this page is like different from any other pages that I've been on.
Ain't no sunshine when she's gone. It's not warm when she's away.
It's a sense of community in a time when there's no community.
Ain't no sunshine when she's gone.
Hello from the Green family. This site has been a blessing during the COVID-19 lockdown. Stay the blazes home.
Thank you guys for allowing us all to connect and share in a way that hasn't been done.
I found you and instantly you got right into my heart.
It's been a wonderful virtual hug.
It was kind of a selfish reason. I like to refer to it as my selfish intentions in putting the group together in the first place, because I really truly was looking for a little getaway for myself, just a little pick me up for my own mental health. I was having my morning coffee and feeling overwhelmed and just burdened by all of the negativity that I was seeing. It was just post after post about what was going on in the world and the doom and gloom and all of that, and it was very overwhelming. I had just happened upon a friend of mine who had posted a video of himself playing the guitar and singing.
Hello everybody, Cass McCrae here. I've got the quarantine beard in full effect. I'd like to play a song for you.
It just brought me a sense of calm. I guess just in that moment I thought, this is what I need. So I thought if I just called upon our local musician friends, perhaps we would be able to flood the Facebook feed with music rather than all of the negativity that was out there at the time. I was kind of hoping that we would maybe get 100 people. Sitting at about 253,000 people. I am surprised every single day. I can't lie. I never thought that this would grow as it has. It still just blows my mind every time I look at that number.
Does having control over a page with 200,000 plus followers ever go to your head?
Yeah, it's a hard number to get your head around, I'll be honest. They're scattered all across the world. I've got this wonderful group of moderators who are generous enough to donate their time to working on this with me. I mean, I created it. I pressed the buttons. I had the idea, but I'm not the only one that it's really important to. I feel like we're a team. As many moderators as we have and as much time and effort that they put into this, the group really would be nothing thing without the 253,000 people who are in it. There's all kinds of parts to be played. Every one of those parts is just as important as next, and that's the only way that we can keep this community going as it is. I don't think it's just me or the moderators. I think it's the whole parcel of it.
Anyone who's a musician, or lucky enough to be friends with a bunch of them, knows the value of a good jam session. One thing COVID-19 is teaching us is that, in the words of Joni Mitchell, you really don't know what you've got till it's gone. Nova Scotia, more so than any other place I've ever been, understands the value of an impromptu musical get-together. I mean, don't get me wrong, Ireland is probably one of the most musical places in the world, and I could get my passport revoked for just suggesting otherwise. However, there is just something about the culture here that really highlights how important a good session can really be. They even have a name for them, a kitchen party. I decided to talk to an expert, so I reached out to my old boss and friend.
My name is Rodney McDonald. I'm president of Gaelic, the Gaelic College. My former life, first of all, as a teacher, and I went into politics for 10 years. And I've been a fiddler and step dancer since my very young years.
So your experience with Gaelic culture, the music, the tradition, fiddle playing and step dancing goes all the way back to your childhood?
Yes, I grew up in a family where music was a very important part of our lives. Of my mother's family, of the 9 kids, there was 4 piano players, a couple of fiddlers. My grandfather, Donald Angus Beaton, was a well-known fiddler and composer. I didn't have to go too far to see a fiddler or a step dancer.
So when you were growing up, if there was a room in your house where you heard the most music, which room would that be?
In the kitchen. The kitchen's such a focal point, not only here in Cape Breton, but around the world. And Cayley, of course, being a visit in Gaelic or gathering. Kitchen's just such an important part of the Gaelic culture here. It's just who we are, and the music is very much part of that. I think the sound is good too, generally speaking. A lot of wood and such. That makes a big difference. I would often practice in the kitchen at home. The smallness of the kitchen even impacted our type of step dancing, where you wouldn't have a lot of movement in our step dancing, and it's close to the floor. Little things like tea. Tea is just such an important part of our culture here. You don't go in the house, you don't go out of the house without a cup of tea. Of course, that's where the wood stove was. So here in Cape Breton, and it's January, and you want to be warm, your party's in the kitchen.
How casual was it? Was it like an invite-only sort of thing?
Well, for me, there's 2 types of kitchen parties. There's the ones that are, organized as a party. You send invitations out. More common than not for me, it would be very normal for us to touch base with a neighbor and say, I'm going to pop over, and you land over and you play some tunes, and then all of a sudden an uncle or an aunt or a neighbor and somebody else drops in, and then more drop in, and it happens very naturally, and all of a sudden it goes from 0 to 100 pretty quick. I'm thinking of a couple of years ago, we had a dance at the hall, and Mabu was a fundraiser, and right afterwards I just mentioned to a few musicians that we're going to have some tunes at the house afterwards. Nothing formal, and all of a sudden you probably had about 15 to 20 musicians in the house till the wee hours of the morning. And people just landed there. I don't even know, people just landed. They heard that there was going to be a gathering, and probably was one of the best parties I ever had at the house. You'd learn in these house gatherings. These house gatherings were part of the mentorship for musicians. So you made sure you got there. Always a house party. If we went to, say, Joseph Des Moines in the Acadian community in Glendale, I knew that there was a house party. I knew where the house party was going to be at. You're guaranteed a great house party with great musicians.
Recordings are really fascinating. How much do you think that archival audio of those sort of kitchen parties can really help you as a musician?
They were vital. They were vital to our style. Fiddlers and musicians would play differently, and they'd sound differently on the homemade recordings. You get the real stuff. You get the dirt in the fiddling. You get the meat and potatoes of the music. It's also where they would try different things. You get the real sound of the instrument. I love listening to an old tape recording or an old reel-to-reel recording. I think that's somewhere where really their best music was at.
At first glance, Rodney's and Heather's kitchen parties don't look all that similar. Heather's kitchen party has grown to include music from all genres.
You're the one for me, the way you make me feel.
And has spread far beyond the rural communities where it began and become an international phenomenon. The problem, I think, is that we're all in a way hardwired to notice differences, so much so that we often miss the nuanced ways in which things are actually quite similar. Just like how the kitchen party of Rodney's youth helped create a sense of community that helped people through the tough times that are the winters here in Cape Breton, the online Nova Scotia Kitchen Party has done a similar thing for hundreds of thousands of people during these uncertain times. It's also helped develop people as musicians and given people the confidence they need to perform. When you scratch beneath the surface, even just a little bit, you usually find that there are far more ways that we are all similar than there are that we are different. I reached out to two users of the page, Melissa O'Neill and Steve Bjorkquist, to see what their experiences online were like.
We are sitting here in a box in the sky in Toronto. We don't even have a balcony. We're, outdoorsy people, but we're here to work. We don't really know our neighbors, and nothing about the experience of living here is anything like Nova Scotia. When our family suggested that we join this group because we were starting to post music, we did that, and the response was wonderful and welcoming, and it's just people trying to make each other happy through music, and it's so wonderful, and there's this sense of support and community that really makes me miss home. The internet, for better or for worse, is all we have right now as a sense of community.
Seeing some positivity through all this strife, it's important, It's heartwarming.
The fact that this group exists and it's so large, a big percentage of the Nova Scotian population is part of this group, which is kind of exciting. The page is just full of lovely people wanting to make other people happy and to lift other people up. And it's just so wonderful.
The internet, it could be used as kind of a tool for some negative things. You become so inundated by it in your daily life without even realizing it.
That sense of anonymity behind your computer allows you to say things and do things that you wouldn't necessarily do or say in person. That wasn't something that I was prepared for. I've had some things thrown at me that it floored me. And I have to say, like I said, 99% of it is good. Some of the stories are so heartwarming they would just automatically bring tears to your eye. There was one lady who contacted me. She was telling me a story about how she had lost contact with her brother about 10 years ago or so. And she just happened to share this group to him on Facebook. And he responded. And then he shared his contact information, and they have been able to reconnect after 10 years. We've got people who contact us and just let us know what a saving grace this group has been. On the other side of that, certainly when somebody is not happy with something within the group, they come at me. I've definitely bore the brunt of some of that personally. I've been called some names. I've been threatened. I've had some other things come out of left field that like I said, I wasn't prepared for, but the internet is also a great thing in that I can delete and block pretty quick. Learned that skill for sure. And that's part of that is, running a community of this size is just crazy. And if we can just work to kind of keep the integrity of the group as it is intended to be and keep that music flowing and keep bringing joy to people, then I think we're doing a good job. The rules have kind of evolved as the group has grown. When we first started, the only rule that we really had was keep it light, joyful, and musical. Unfortunately, that did not kind of spell it out, I guess, as clearly as we'd hoped. We do have some rules. It has to be musical, either an instrument or singing or dancing. Comments have got to be positive and supportive. Duplicate posts, or if your post is removed for any reason, we ask that you review the rules before you get upset and inbox the administrators.
There was a phenomenon here in Toronto a couple years ago called Buns Trading Zone. Now it's known as the Pals Trading Zone. It started as a Facebook group, and people were bartering for stuff and changing for stuff, and it was, the new barter economy kind of made the waves. And that, for me, was the first eye-opening experience into what it was like to be a moderator. Now, personally, I wasn't a moderator. I was just on this page, trading stuff with people. And that was horrendous.
Yeah, the volume of posts coming in and just crap, this half bottle of wine, you got to meet me halfway around the city. So weeding through that, all of this content, it's a big task.
Yeah.
And
kind of creating rules as you go along. I think that it is a testament to how great Heather and the team of moderators are doing on this page, because you don't see that. And I think that the rules, especially around, after the mass shooting, around people who wanted to express their grief and other people and saying, no, we shouldn't. And their handling of that situation, I think, is phenomenal. And it's led to an even bigger sense of community than was even there before. Like, it's really helped people grieve and come together and, again, lift each other up through music in this really hard time.
I have to admit that when I first looked into this page, I couldn't have imagined that one of the things that would interest me most would be its moderation. We often acknowledge the hard work that goes on behind the scenes of the things we love, but I don't think we always tend to understand the true scope of it. This wonderful sense of community and atmosphere on this page is not something that just happened. It's been fought for, painstakingly built by a group of people who know the true value of the thing they are helping to keep alive. While moderation may seem to some people as simple as just making sure that nobody is mean or out of hand, the fact is that it's not always that simple. For example, should musicians be allowed to ask for money? Well, they are performing, aren't they? Right? So why wouldn't they be allowed?
My reasoning behind not allowing that is that you would never go to a kitchen party and put your hat out.
I think soliciting directly on the page I would maybe see a bit of a problem with that. That said, if somebody really likes your music and you post links to your music and your music is available online for purchase, then, there's nothing stopping somebody from going directly to that artist's page and supporting them. I mean, I've got some material up online. You can check it out at redsteps.ca, by the way.
Everybody is just kind of there to enjoy playing and entertaining and having a great time together. There's no expectation of a monetary reward.
That's not the point of this group. The point of this group is just to showcase people that have got a song in their heart. It sounds cheesy, but I think it's true.
There's a lot of people that are struggling. We just wanted to make sure that the intention of the group was to provide a little bit of a distraction and escape from all of that.
The regulations in place with regards to tipping on the page make perfect sense to me. I mean, especially when you put them in the context of a kitchen party. See, the thing about this page is that it's a very special type of escapism. It's a place that's free from the looming spectre of worry and doubt. And that is a really precious thing right now. A big thanks has to go out to Heather and all of the other moderators who make sure that that is not jeopardized in any way. All of that said, I do worry about musicians and artists getting paid in this day and age. A lot has been said about essential workers lately. I am glad those people are finally getting the credit they deserve. Not just nurses and doctors, but government workers, truckers, and the employees who keep things like our grocery stores open. However, we must not forget about artists. I mean, just imagine how much more difficult lockdown would have been without the movies, books, art, music that brings smiles to our faces on a daily basis. We as a society right now are so used to consuming media and entertainment completely free of charge that I think now it's harder for artists to get paid than ever before. It also feels like we've taken the small open mics and concerts that propelled so many of our favourite artists into the spotlight for granted. It's my hope that groups like Heather's will reignite the passion for the transformative experience that a piece of art or live music can be.
I believe it is a bit of a wake-up call for folks, for the whole world. You almost become part of the train that's running in everyday life. And this has opened our eyes to realize that, there's a lot of precious things that we can't forget about. And first of all, it's each other.
People are longing for connectivity and they're longing for a collective experience.
There's nothing that beats that experience of going and seeing the band and getting a little sweaty.
Doing a jig.
That's it.
I'm hopeful that we're going to see more live music and a different approach to it.
It's easy to forget when you've got all of these concerts that are produced to the nth degree. It's really, really easy to kind of lose sight of where it all stems from. I really do hope that this opens a couple of doors. Audiences will grow. People get out there and do their open mics, play at the local farmers market or what have you. I hope that some of those people will continue on from not just posting from their kitchen, but in the real world as well.
Contributors for this episode have been Rodney MacDonald, Margie Beaton and Joyce MacDonald, all from the Gaelic College of Nova Scotia, Heather Cameron, moderator of the online Nova Scotia Kitchen Party, and Melissa O'Neill and Steve Bjorkquist, music lovers and residents of A Box in the Sky. I interviewed so many people for this episode and reached out to so many more who gave me permission to use their music. Unfortunately, not everyone made it into the finished product, but I'm so thankful for your help. One such interview was an interview with Dylan Marlowe, who is 11 years old and the closest thing to a child prodigy that I've ever met. He has been playing guitar since he was 4 years old, and here he is, jamming out Johnny Be Good. The music in this episode comes from a couple of different places. First and foremost, it comes from the wonderful users of the Nova Scotia Online Kitchen Party COVID-19 edition, and it's also the song Days by Cuzco, which is available on icons8.com. You can support the show by visiting Patreon and follow the link in the description below.